This is a Zach Feldman Show replay on ZRadioLive.com.
The website music station Z Radio Live. This is the Zach Feldman Show. Joining me over the phone is an author. He has a new book out called Back to a Childlike Faith, Exploring Fairway, Places, and Discovering Home. It's Stan Jacob. Stan, thanks so much for joining me here on the Zach Feldman Show. How's everything going?
Everything's going great. How's everything with you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So tell me all about this brand new book.
Well, I decided a few years ago that I had an interesting life, and many times people have told me, "Really, you ought to write a book." And I've said that many times too. I thought, I think I should write a book after something unusual happens to me. And finally, I talked to a good friend of mine who is she's actually a writer herself, and she taught creative writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I took her course, and I decided, hey, I think I can do this. I think I can write about my life, and I think I can make it interesting.
Mm.
And so I decided to go for it. And then I thought, well, another thing, I usually set goals for myself every 10 years. And when I turned 60 and then 70, and then I thought, well, I think I'll write this book before I turn 80. And so I did, and I did get it published. And so I made my goal, and I'm happy about that.
Well, that's great, and it's awesome that you were able to finally do that, and get it out there. I mean, tell me a little about, the artistic expression in the book too. I mean, as obviously, you created the cover of the book too. What was kind of like your visualization of like kind of the book?
Well, the theme of the book is, of course, back to a childlike faith, and I've had many years. I've been a Christian since as long as I can remember, since I was a small child. And lots of things have happened between that time and where I am now. And my faith has become more and more complex as I've gotten older.
Mm-hmm.
And my religion, the theology has become more and more complicated and more sophisticated. But it was clear to me all along that the Bible says that we should return to a childlike faith. We should approach Jesus Christ as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear to me how we should come to Christ. And so if I could, not that I should forget all the things that have happened to me since then, but that I should throw off some of these details and technical considerations and stuff that makes things complicated. All of the distractions that we have in the modern world, and just go back and imagine myself to be at the feet of Jesus Christ and listening to him, and giving myself to him as a child, because he loved the children, and I know he loves me since I was a small child and still does. And so I decided that this is a good place to start. And then in the process, my faith has become more mature over the years, but I still have that. I still approach Jesus as a child who is innocent and pure, because of even though all the crazy things that have happened, all of the things that I did wrong, he has forgiven me for all of those things, and allowed me to start over.
I mean, obviously you've had a lot of, you've done a lot of studying in the religious aspect of things too, but, you were also you also had ministry experience, in different countries too. Tell me a little about, being able to get that experience.
Okay. I actually became a missionary, a full-fledged actual missionary in in the year 2000, which was 24 years ago, when I went over to Russia at the request of one of the kids in my youth group at my church. He actually was the first person that I said when he was 16 years old. I told him, I believe that someday you will be a missionary. And he just laughed at me. He thought that was funny because he was, rather typical 15 or 16-year-old. Me? Why me? And I said, well, because you have the gift. And just 10 years later, he actually did become a missionary. He went to Japan and with Campus Crusade for Christ, and then went to Russia. And then now he's asking me to come over there. Well, I never had any intention to become a missionary, but when I met with him in Russia, he said, we're going to go to a public school, a 6th grade class, and we're going to tell them about the Lord's Prayer. And we're going to teach them the Lord's Prayer in Russian. And I want you to draw pictures of it that we're going to put around the room on a big piece of butcher paper, 3 feet high, of Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And he had one of the kids there with us, and he says, yeah, and I'll help you do it. I'll help you draw it. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And so when we did it, I went to the school with Kyle and his young friend and all these 6th graders and the teacher, and we put up the sheets of paper, and those kids came up one at a time and learned the Lord's Prayer in Russian. And they were so nice to me, and they were so full of the Spirit that it was almost overwhelming to me. And I thought, this is it. I'm gonna be a missionary. And so for the last 24 years, I have gone to 50 some countries, probably 60 some altogether. And I've taken the Word of God to the Eastern Europe, to Russia, to Asia, to Africa, and to South America. And it's been a wonderful experience for me.
That's incredible.
And I intend to keep going. I got back this year from Nepal, and in the spring I'm going to Albania, which is mostly Muslim and gypsies. And I'm looking forward to it. We're going to do drawing and painting and telling Bible stories and working with the poor and doing medical outreach also to them. And it'll be about 10 days, I believe.
And something really interesting about you too is that obviously it's not just the studying of the Bible for you, but it's also being able to take that and then repurpose it into an artistic style and being able to kind of spread the your message through artistic ability. It's not even just a lot of people will teach the Bible, but they won't teach it in the way that you're teaching it, in a sense. Why is that?
Well, because God tells us, He gives us gifts, and He tells us to use them, to develop them for His purposes. And so if I'm obedient, like a child of God, if I'm obedient, then I use my gift, which happens to be art. And when I go to a new place, I sit down with the kids with my sketchbook and I start drawing them. I draw pictures of them, and they love it. They're caricatures. I've drawn caricatures since I was 18 years old, and I've probably drawn somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 caricatures in my life.
Wow.
And the children love it, the adults love it, and sometimes I get paid for it. So I've done caricatures of the children in probably 50 or 60 countries.
That's awesome.
And I've discovered that all the kids, they're all alike. They're all alike. They may speak different languages, but the same thing that makes them tick makes us tick. I mean, it doesn't matter whether they're Russian or Chinese or Mexican or people on the other side of town here in my own hometown. They respond to the love of the person that they show to them. They respond to encouragement and support, and the more they say that the whole secret of teaching is encouragement, and I'd say it's probably 90%. You teach them a lesson, but you also encourage them to grow. And when they discover they can grow, and when you show and tell, that's the secret. That's the secret of Christian discipleship, is showing and telling. Show and tell. It's the old show and tell thing. The kids love to show and tell. I love to show and tell. And before long, they want to be like you. They want to follow you around. It's just lots of fun, and
That's awesome.
It makes me feel great too.
And and it's got to be such a blessing too, to be able to do that, and it probably feels so great to to see your work actually help others out there too. What is next for you as a writer though, Stan? I mean, obviously this is kind of like a story of your life, but what is next for you, as a writer? As a writer, I sort of laughingly told someone, well, I'm almost ready to do a sequel, because the last year or two, I finished writing in 2022. That's 2 years ago. And more has happened. There's been more little miracles and more meeting more people and doing more mission trips. And I just, it's more of the same, and yet it's different. It's different people, different children, different countries, and different opportunities. So much of Christian growth has to do with jumping on opportunities. Mm-hmm. You've probably heard the term carpe diem, and there's a lot of truth to that. Take advantage of something that happens. Seize the day. When you have an opportunity to do something good, like the random acts of kindness, you've heard that before, and something similar to that is very similar to that. Yeah.
Then you take it. If some kid that you don't even know asks you, "What are you holding?" I'm holding the Bible. Well, what does it say? And they want to know, and I tell them. I thought, hey, this is it. Bingo. This is the green light. This is the opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. And so you take it, and then you discover the effects of what you've done and what God has done. It's really not me that's done it. It's God that's done it through me, and I've emptied myself and allowed him to come in and take charge.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Well, we're talking with Stan Jacobs. Again, the book is called Back to a Childlike Faith. Stan, thank you so much for coming on the Zach Feldman Show. Where can people find you online? Where can people follow you on your success?
I don't have a website.
No.
but I don't. I really haven't done much marketing.
Not much social media?
I'm on Instagram, and I'm on WhatsApp. I'm
awesome.
on Instagram.
Well, what's your Instagram so people can go and follow you?
It's Stan Jacobs 700, I believe.
Awesome.
I can't remember for sure, but most of the people I talk to on Instagram are the people that I met in the foreign countries, because I see these other people all the time. I can pick up the phone and call them, but it's hard to keep up with my other friends that I know. I have lots of friends in Russia. Mm-hmm. I haven't been there because of political situations and the wars and so forth. But I want to go back as soon as I can. I've been to Russia 10 times.
Wow.
and
Yeah,
I learned
it's
some
not the
Russian,
greatest
and
place at the moment.
it's,
But
no, it's not. But I'm still going back.
Yeah.
I'm still going back.
we'll definitely go back when it's safer. Don't want you to get hurt.
Yes. I've never been afraid of the places I've gone. I've never been afraid to go, and I've never had a problem.
Let me ask you. You know, how do you afford all this? How do you afford to travel the world?
How do I afford it? I save my money. I don't play golf. I don't gamble. I don't do expensive things really.
Yeah.
I think my kids wonder how I afford stuff like this too. But if my church will pay for 1/3 of my mission, of the missions trips that I take.
That's awesome.
And the other 2/3, I either raise funds from other places or I pay for them myself. Now, if I go once or twice a year, that costs me maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a year for airfare and incidentals and so forth. That I would, you know, it costs money just to stay home. People don't realize that.
Oh, of course.
but when you go places, you can spend $2,000 or $3,000 a year. That's no big deal. I'm retired and I have a good retirement and a 401, whatever they call it. And I was at Midland College for 50 years, and I want to spend it while I'm alive. I don't want to give it all to my kids. And there'll be plenty to give to them too anyway. So I'm not concerned about that.
Completely agree with that. Completely. Well, Stan Jacobs, seriously, thank you so much for coming on the Zach Feldman Show, and best of luck with everything, and best of luck with your mission too.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
You too. The Webster Music Station, Z Radio Live, back with more Zach Feldman Show right after this.
Want to hear more? Listen to the Zach Feldman Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ZRadioLive.com.